Welcome to Legacy Leaders. I'm your host, Ann Marie Sorrell, President and CEO of the Mosaic Group, your award winning global marketing, advertising, and public relations agency. Today, I am joined by Gale Nelson, the President and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Miami, and we will be sharing the importance of mentorship. Welcome, Gale.
Thank you, Ann Marie. Always a pleasure talking to you.
Yes, so we're going to dive right into it because we want to really get into the importance of mentorship. But before we do so, can you please share briefly your background and your journey to your current role as CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Miami?
Born in Lincoln, Nebraska, parents divorced when I was 2 years old, and my dad was a contractor. And the hurricane force winds, the gale force winds of Hurricane Andrew brought Gale Sayers Nelson down to South Florida. And I wanted to rebuild a relationship with my daddy, Ann Marie, quite frankly, coming out of Toledo, Ohio, where I grew up. And then once I got down here, my first job was working with juvenile delinquent boys and a juvenile justice program. And it was very clear to me that these kids were so talented, most of whom were Black and brown boys, so talented. But if we got to them before they got arrested, I think the game for them, game of life, would be different. And that's what brought me to Big Brothers Big Sisters Miami in 2006.
Wow. Well, that was a while ago. And I'm sure we're going to talk about what you're seeing in the current marketplace. Now, sometimes people confuse Big Brothers Big Sisters with the Boys and Girls Club. So can
Every
you
day.
share a bit about Big Brothers Big Sisters and what the difference between the two organizations are?
Absolutely. And keep in mind, there's so many great nonprofits, and it's never a competitive thing, but it is important to differentiate the various brands and the various organizations. Boys and Girls Club is about the place, the club. Big Brothers Big Sisters is about the personal relationship. And one of the things we do as a brand, Big Brothers Big Sisters, is we want to build that personal relationship that's scalable. It allows kids, our littles, as we call them, to see someone outside of their neighborhood, because place-based puts you in, right in your neighborhood, the clubs. Big Brothers Big Sisters allows you, these littles, to see and build cultural enriching relationships, meeting other folks, getting into the workplace as well, in a room where it happens. Because if you're not at the table, you may be on the menu. So we want our littles to see how it moves, see how it works, and be the game changers of the future as well.
I love that. Really, empowering them at a young age. Now,
Yes.
talk about littles, and we know that there are littles and there are bigs. So,
Yes.
let's talk about mentorship and why that is so important.
Well, when you think about infrastructure, and I use the word infrastructure for a reason. When you hear that term, the first thing we think about are roads, bridges, and even maybe digital connectivity. Again, the broadband network, and those are essential investments in terms of going from one place to the other, for public safety, for economic mobility. And why is mentorship so important? Because it's the social infrastructure. When you think about the investment in the human relationship, Anne Marie, that is so important now more than ever. We love the technology. We love, skyscrapers, everything going up. May we never lose sight of the power, the unifying force of mentorship, because that human relationship leads to our kids feeling better about themselves. Not only feeling better about themselves, but they pay us back through their success academically, socially, and most importantly, in just, again, with their own families as well.
And you talk about infrastructure, and of course, you've been at this for now almost 20 years. You said 2006, and we're now just entered 2026. So this is a 20-year career for you, working with children, but also the adults who mentor them. Can you speak on what are some of the top challenges that you see facing today's youth, or that today's youth face, especially, from when you first started 20 years ago comparative to where, we are now?
When I think of pre and post pandemic, Anne Marie, one of the things that holds true, uh, the Surgeon General declared loneliness as a public health crisis. In that same report, the Surgeon General, U.S. Surgeon General, said 40% of our kids are either sad or have feelings of hopelessness. I think about when, as we grew up, Anne Marie, and you go to school, you go and play in the park, we play in backyard, whatever, And there's so much heaviness, pre and post pandemic. We use that as a kind of historical marker. And when kids feel lonely, when kids feel sad, then they're not performing academically. They think about hurting themselves or hurting others. And then juvenile justice numbers spike. And I've worked in juvenile justice, so I know what this looks like. When kids don't feel like they're comfortable in their skin, then all of a sudden that quote unquote family of a gang is more attractive. And so some of the biggest challenges we face are just our kids not feeling like their best selves. And sadly, too many depressive symptoms that they're dealing with every day, carrying that weight, just going to school.
Wow. You really touched on something interesting because the young people that you're working with, when they graduate from high school and they go into adulthood, and if they've not dealt with loneliness, sadness, being able to social awkwardness, uh, even matters of depression, um, it's even harder for them to deal with that as a young adult, where they're even more secluded sometimes because they don't have that group of peers around them anymore. How do you, or is there a preventative um, program in place, or even how do you empower your bigs to work with the littles on these types of challenges?
You hit it spot on, Anne Marie. And just from a relationship standpoint, and I got to say this out loud, it's amazing seeing the adults and the challenges we face. And there are adults that struggle in maintaining a healthy relationship, adults who are struggling with mental health and depressive symptoms that were, again, adverse childhood experiences led these adults to now being in the workplace, even if it's the boss and he or she is struggling with just being comfortable in their own skin, and they take it out on employees. So there's a reciprocal nature of mentoring. And when bigs sign up to help a child, guess who they're also helping? They're helping themselves. So they can then take on more responsibility. We've seen increased workplace culture, and happiness and engagement because a big feels like they're now involved in doing something maybe they missed out on. It helps them heal. The mental health numbers for adults and the littles are increased in terms of the positive resilience factors and all of that. And I will say this as well. When adults begin to mentor, it's amazing how just kind of organically they start meeting people, and we're not eHarmony. Let me be clear. We make matches, but and adults who begin to mentor, feeling good about themselves, they again meet Mr. and Mrs. Right, if you will. And so you're welcome to all those who sign up to become bigs.
Well, that's an interesting way to put it for all my single people out there.
That's
You may
right.
want to consider getting involved and being around like-minded mentors yourself, and also giving back. We're going to take a brief commercial break, and when we come back, Gale, we're going to talk about what it means to actually get involved and become a big.
All right.
We'll be right back.
February 19th to the 22nd. Join your favorite culinary stars at the Food Network South Beach Wine and Food Festival.
It's going to be amazing.
Don't miss out on the gastronomic extravaganza that's making waves.
If you haven't been, you are missing it.
Take part in masterclasses, tastings, exclusive events, and so much more. Proceeds benefit educational programs and scholarships at Florida International University.
And buy your tickets early because they're going to go quick.
Get your tickets now at SoBWFF.org.
To learn more about what we do, to get involved in our mission to help all of Broward's children learn, grow, and thrive, or to find a program or service for your children, visit us at cscbroward.org. The Children's Services Council of Broward County. Our focus is our children.
I grew up down here in South Florida, so for me, it's a little bit more personal.
For the Mesman and Dover Law Firm, it's about community.
For us, South Florida's our home. You all are our people.
Our family, our future.
The difference we'll make for you, your loved ones, your kids, matters, because to us, it's personal.
If you need us, call us 24/7 at 866-954-MORE.
That's 866-954-6673. Demesman and Dover Law Firm, youraccidentattorneys.com.
Perez Art Museum Miami celebrates the 13th anniversary of Art and Soul, an unforgettable night supporting the PAM Fund for Black Art. February 7th, 2026 at Perez Art Museum Miami, honoring cultural pioneer Fab Five Freddy. Cocktails and a curated dinner by Chef Raheem Sealy, an inspiring program led by MC Neki Mohan. Music by Deep Fried Funk and DJ Aya, all in support of Black art. Visit pam.org/ArtSoul2026 to purchase tickets.
Welcome back, Gale. So this question is going to be two-part. One is, why should someone consider becoming a mentor or big? And what is the process? But I really want you to take a deep dive into, those people who may not be as busy as some. So for example, we know that some of the busiest people serve on 10 different boards. They're involved in so many different ways. They give about 80% compared to 20%. But how do you engage those who are probably a part of the 20%ers? And how does someone get involved to be a big and, the process?
I want to hit that nail one more time on the reciprocal nature of being a big, of mentorship. People sign up to help a child. And little do they know that it helps them in return in terms of, again, their more civic engagement, feeling better about themselves, meeting like-minded people, meeting people that you end up maybe doing business with. If not, again, from the personal standpoint, as I said before, it's amazing how people I met the CEO of Ryder. I'm going to drop a name. CEO of Ryder met his wife through Big Brothers Big Sisters. Every time I see him, he's like, thank you. And I tell him, again, we're not eHarmony, but we make some great matches. But here's what happens as it relates to mentorship. And for the number one reason people tell me, Ann Marie, that they cannot get involved is time. And the beautiful thing about mentorship, it's not only scalable, but it's flexible and we can customize. If somebody says, I'm spending most of my time at the office, we have a workplace mentoring program where you never leave the job and the kids come to you. And it's during the school day, nothing over the summer when people take trips here, there, and elsewhere. That's just one simple response to those who are busy, whether it's 80% or the 20%, they can be a workplace mentor. The Miami Heat, Carnival Cruise Lines, Baptist Health South Florida, just to name a few. And now we got municipalities, City of Miami Gardens, City of North Miami, that are now involved with us in the workplace mentoring context, including police officers as well through Bigs and Blue. Now, I got a little brother. Now, I'm president and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters, where we get that. My little brother, Haitian little young man, taller than me, 17 years old, got a 3.8 GPA. And as we went around, I take him to meetings with me. His mom, and I'm quoting his mom, she said, it's such a blessing for him to see what you do. His mom and dad are in his life. He doesn't need to be fixed. But as a big, it keeps me young. And so black don't crack. But in addition to that, mentorship looks good. It's never out of style. And so, Ann Marie, for those who are saying, I don't have the time, we can help you, meet you where you are. For those who say, I got a little bit of time to spare, we can get you in a school for an hour a week or twice a month, just picking up your little brother, little sister and hanging out. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present.
Is there like a screening process? Is there a matching process? Is there a background screening or background check that's required? Like, what are some of the screening or processes that, you have to go through if you sign up to be a big big brother or big sister? Absolutely.
So we got to check you out. We got to make sure that, again, you may be available, you may be willing, but you got to have a readiness as well. So not only is there a vetting process, because child safety is something we will never compromise nor apologize for. As a parent, I want to make sure those that are around my children are all right and doing what they need to do. So step one, someone fills out a digital application, can complete it right on their phone. Step two, they are scheduled for an individual interview. That interview is invasive, intentionally, because we want to find out How'd you grow up? Where'd you grow up? Hobbies, likes, dislikes, interests. When I was signed up to become a big, I shared my story. Growing up without my daddy, divorced when the parents divorced when I was 2, I wanted a young black boy who didn't have a father in his life. And so I've had 3 little brothers, and my first 2, that was the basic profile. Once someone is interviewed, Anne Marie, then we match them up with someone based on their interests. A big can tell us, I want a single female, if you will. I want a young lady that's 17 years old in high school so we can hang out and do girly girl stuff. We can do that. Or they can say, I want a little sister that's younger, elementary school. I want to go see her at school. We customize it. And the last piece in the vetting and onboarding process, Anne Marie, is we will also track the match for the duration, providing customized match support or coaching to help each individual match, because no 2 relationships are alike.
That is awesome. Now, you have some annual initiatives and events, I'm sure, that those who just may want to experience Big Brothers, Big Sisters can get involved in. Do you want to talk about some of your initiatives and programs or events?
Absolutely. We got some of the coolest events in town. I'm highly biased, but when you get there, you will see. Coming up, we have Guys Night Out. It's an annual event. It's going to be Thursday, January 29th at the Kaseya Center, home of the Miami Heat. The entire patio, 500 philanthropic gentlemen who are just going to hang out, network, enjoy, various activities. And Girls Night Out, February 11th at the Wynwood Walls. Beautiful artistic area in town. Always a nice vibe. Girls Night Out, professional women coming out, doing the same thing, enjoying the ambiance, food, drinks, and everything else. And then also our annual gala. We call it the Dream Big Gala. Will be Saturday, April 25th at the JW Marriott Marquis, downtown Miami. And these are annual events where, yes, we raise funds, because it's free for the parents. The parents who sign their children up, and it's typically female single households. They will never pay a dime for our services. And so we exist through the generosity and the support of individuals, corporations, and those who just care about their community.
Awesome. Well, those sound really exciting, and I hope that I'll be able to check some of those out myself as my schedule permits. But I want to ask you, as the CEO, what has been one of the most rewarding moments for you?
There's been so many rewarding moments, but one stands out. I was raised by a grandmother and my mother. I call my grandmother Mama. She's no longer with us. And I call my mother, who is with us today, I'm her baby boy, I call her Cubby. And one of the most rewarding moments for me was when I was called by David Lawrence, and then I got a call from the Children's Trust that I was the recipient of the Dave Lawrence Champions for Children Award. And then I called my mama and I invited her to the lunch event. And she heard everybody saying all these great things about her baby boy. And when I'm able to share that, again, every time I help a little boy or a little girl, whenever we serve a little, that's me thanking grandmama, thanking mama, and thanking Cubby. So that was a moment that will I'll never forget.
That is amazing. I felt that. I really felt that myself. Now, what would you say maybe one of your most challenging or difficult moments have been as CEO?
When I think about this, the harsh reality, and it was one of the hardest moments was when I had to attend a funeral of a little, and just seeing the heartfelt, the loss, obviously, but in addition to that, the family, how they embraced the brand and thanked us for just helping their children. And when you think about the investment in mentorship and what these kids go through, there's still a harsh reality of choices, harsh reality of hanging on to friends who may not have your best interest in mind and the consequences thereof. And so that was tough, seeing families we were there to help them, but we're also a part of their extended family. And so that was one of the toughest moments I've had to experience as well. And we will always be there. And I'll give you an example. There's a little sister, Leakum is her name, and she lost her dad. And I went to the services. Her dad was a musician. And so I sat there just thinking, to pay our respects. This little sister matched to a powerful Black woman, Mia. And now Leakum not only is a musician, plays the violin professionally, Leecom not only got her bachelor's and her master's degree, but Leecom is now just doing her thing. And they sent me a picture. And so we look at the loss of a family member to her taking her daddy's musical genius. And now this young lady is doing big things. And so shout out to little sister Leecom, who performed with Wyclef at one of our galas. Leecom's on stage playing with Wyclef, doing her thing, and she held her own. The stage is never too big for our littles.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, we're going to take another commercial break and we'll be back to talk a bit more about the importance of mentoring.
February 19th to the 22nd. Join your favorite culinary stars at the Food Network South Beach Wine and Food Festival.
It's going to be amazing.
Don't miss out on the gastronomic extravaganza that's making waves.
If you haven't been, you are missing it.
Take part in masterclasses, tastings, exclusive events, and so much more. Proceeds benefit educational programs and scholarships at Florida International University.
And buy your tickets early because they're going to go quick.
Get your tickets now at SoBWFF.org.
To learn more about what we do, to get involved in our mission to help all of Broward's children learn, grow, and thrive, or to find a program or service for your children, visit us at cscbroward.org. Children's Services Council of Broward County. Our focus is our children.
I grew up down here in South Florida, so for me, it's a little bit more personal.
For the Mesman & Dover Law Firm, it's about community.
For us, South Florida's our home. You all are our people.
Our family. Our future.
The difference we'll make for you, your loved ones, your kids, matters. Because to us, it's personal.
If you need us, call us 24/7 at 866-954-MORE.
That's 866-954-6673. Demesman & Dover Law Firm, youraccidentattorneys.com.
Perez Art Museum Miami celebrates the 13th anniversary of Art and Soul, an unforgettable night supporting the PAM Fund for Black Art. February 7th, 2026 at Perez Art Museum Miami, honoring cultural pioneer Fab Five Freddy. Cocktails and a curated dinner by Chef Raheem Seeley, an inspiring program led by MC Neki Mohan. Music by Deep Fried Funk and DJ Aya, all in support of Black art. Visit pam.org/ArtSoul 2026 to purchase tickets.
Welcome back, Gale. So I want to just really empower our listeners that you're never too young and you're never too old to be a mentor. I remember I started mentoring while I was in college, and and it wasn't through Big Brothers Big Sisters, but I did mentor through my church. And one of the young ladies who I just thought I was not reaching at all, when I left FAMU, came to South Florida, she called me and invited me to her high school graduation. And she was the first of her siblings to graduate and the first really aunts to graduate from high school. And she was so proud. And I remember her telling me that she thanked me so much for just sticking with her through her attitude, through her seeming like she's not listening, but she was paying attention the whole time. And she was so grateful that I was able to just kind of push her and be there for her and be a resource for her. And she went on to go to the military. Now she's married and raising her own family. She's an entrepreneur. And so you just never know. And then even now, as a professional and a business owner, I try to pour back into other young people, whether they're in elementary, middle, or high school, but also those who may be under 30. I even mentor some women that are older than me sometimes, that are in their career. So mentorship doesn't have a age limit on it. Can you talk to do you get college students who become bigs? Is there what's your average engagement as far as your big brothers and big sisters go?
Well, first of all, thank you for just embracing because mentorship is something it's timeless. And you think about just culturally, this is what we do. We pass down traditions and culture, and we teach and we train. So don't call it a comeback. We've been here for years. And
Right.
so to your question, Anne Marie, it's so important that people understand that mentors, we've had mentors in their 80s and 90s, and certainly from the high school mentors that can serve bigs, that can serve elementary students, to someone that's an empty nester and beyond. If you have the time and the heart and you want to just share you, just sharing you, like you said, a young lady you mentored through your church, she paid attention. You were just present and she took the notes. The way I dressed today, the way I moved today, those were the men I saw growing up. It wasn't a barbershop. It wasn't a formal mentoring program like Big Brothers, Big Sisters. But what do we do? We're training kids to be barbers now. What are we doing? We got a teen tech center at our building, 46,000 square feet, where we can now engage bigs and littles in a space. So we got the personal relationships and the place here in Miami to just really leverage high school, college, single, married, couples can be a couples match. So there's something for everybody.
I love that. And I really do encourage our viewers to consider, even if it's not through Big Brothers Big Sisters, but mentor someone today. Your time, your presence, your knowledge, your wisdom could certainly make the difference, the world of a difference in someone's life, especially during these times where, like you said, there's literally a loneliness epidemic that is happening, a social anxiety epidemic that has happened. And so I think, everyone needs a hand. I used to work with Big Brothers Big Sisters, and we had a campaign called A Hand to Hold Through Life. And I felt like that's what Big Brothers Big Sisters represented then, and I'm sure to still stays true to now. So Gale, before we wrap up, just tell everyone how they can reach you, how they can get more involved, website, all of those good things.
Absolutely. Join the movement. Get involved. Visit bbsmiami.org. Phone number 305-644-0066. And they can really make a difference in a kid's life and their own as well.
Absolutely. Well, you heard it here. We encourage you again, become a mentor, get involved with Big Brothers Big Sisters. And of course, thank you, Gale Nelson, President and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Miami, for joining me today. And thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Ann Marie Sorrell, and see you next time on Legacy Leaders.